For the past 13 years, Reverend Kirk Sethman, also known as Seth, has been tasked with a mission to bring to light the cover-up of minor SA by pastors, volunteers, and leaders at New Life Church. And in that mission, a web of pastors, hush money payments, and scandal has appeared, stretching not only across the country, but across the globe, with pastors covering up each other's sins, being promised a new, fresh start every time they were put on the hot seat, in the confidence that no pastor would expose another, thus they have their own misdeeds exposed as well. Subscribe and share this series as we delve deep into uncovering a deep and dark web of sin, harming even the youngest of children, and bring all of those that are perpetrating such crime and cover up into the light.
13 years trying to bring to light the trafficking ring, the pedophilia ring, the sexual abuse ring in the church that's not just in Colorado Springs, but is touching every corner of the globe in this case, of cover-ups, of misdeeds, of payoffs, of bribes, of cover-ups with non-disclosure agreements, with hush money payments. The story goes on, but what Seth has told me that is really important for him is to bring himself into the light first and foremost, because Seth has a very remarkable story and testimony of how he came to Christ. And that was his old life, and his new life is in Christ. But Seth wants to share some of his past.
So I want to start off with myself and where I come from Lakewood, California, born in the Anaheim area, raised in Lakewood, Long Beach. And very briefly through my childhood, all the way into my adult, I was rebellious. I was in juvenile halls, jails at a very young age as a teenager. I ran away from home at 15. I fought a lot. I drank a lot. I was an alcoholic by the time I was 15. I was a drug addict by the time I was 16, and just continued a path in my life.
At 17 years old, Seth was given a choice: enter the military or face time in prison. But Seth's rebellious nature didn't lead to a long stint in the Army. Just a year and a half in, Seth faced disciplinary action, leading to his Chapter 10 discharge under other than honorable conditions.
By 1981, I was running from the law, the bounty hunters across the country. I ended up in Montana, in Missoula, dropped an officer there and had a $20,000 bail, and I started running across the country. A lady bailed me out, $20,000 cash. And from bounty hunters, I went across the United States from Montana into northern Idaho, Washington, cut across into Las Vegas, almost got caught up in that, all the way back to Pennsylvania. And they found me there, the bounty hunters, and I got out of there and ended up in Texas. But what I'm sharing with you, in that next couple of years, by 1984, May 2nd, I surrendered myself to Long Beach County Jail. My mother had hired an attorney, and I got 2 years, was facing 8 years. After that sentence, got out a year later. By 1989, I was back in again with firearms. The first one was on a burglary, second with an ex-con with firearms. And I got another 2 years and got off clean. That was when I got married. And in 1995, caught a third case with firearms, not robbery or anything like that, but a third case, looking at life. And thanks to the Father, I got around that right there, because they made a mistake in the first case. And so they couldn't get me with a 3-strike. So in 1995, I ended up with a third felony and ended up with 2 more years. And when I got out in 97, I got off another year of probation. I was raising my son and daughter, and my wife was in jail. After she got out, I brought her and my children here to Colorado in 1998. In 1998, I've been clean since 1996 until the 2012 on the street narcotics. But I started drinking again and taking pharmaceutical narcotics in abundance. Started teaching at New Life Church in 1999, for the next couple years at Fort Victory Children's Ministry. Again, off street narcotics, but taking a numerous amount of pharmaceutical narcotics that was being prescribed by Kent Roberson, which was a friend of mine at New Life Church. Going from there, right there, after a couple of years, I left that ministry because there were some things being done with the children that was being not hands-on, but forced to have in the Fort Victory through Charlie Clark and some others in the administration chain of command, and I wasn't okay with what they were putting into the children's minds. So I stepped out as a volunteer and kept with New Life until 2007, going into 8 actually, when Brady Boyd came on. I left there, and in 2010, this is where it goes with the St. James Church and Ted Haggard. So what I want to share, though, is my addiction with the pharmaceutical narcotics, the oxys. It was through pain. I wasn't doing any street narcotics, started drinking again, led into 2012 with the briefcase. So I had been clean off of street narcotics, meth, heroin, all of that, until 2012 in May, going into June, when I received the briefcase with Ted Haggard. That's when my life completely changed. I thought I could take on his sin and protect that young man, Nathan, and church, and Ted Haggard. All I knew was the Mike thing, Mike Jones, and a little bit of meth. I had no clue of all the what I know today. After several surgeries going into 2015, into 16, I was completely blind, multiple surgeries that over that next 3 years. Came out of Union Printers after receiving an encounter with the Lord, and I've been clean off of drugs and alcohol since then. I've had a couple of mixed drinks, a few beers in 2017, and had one glass of wine with Kent Roberson and his family, my doctor, in 2018 at Thanksgiving. I've been completely clean since then, and that's what I want you to know. The Lord rescued me from death. I deserve death. I'm not claiming to be better than anyone, but He had this purpose and plan, and it's what we're doing right here, right now. I had no clue of what I know today, and that's what I'm going to continue to bring out until He says it's finished.
So, Seth, did you grow up in the faith?
I was raised as a Catholic. I made my first Holy Communion when I was about 10 years old, and around 11 confirmation, and I wanted nothing to do with God or His Son or faith.
After you got involved, arrested, charged with your first felony, we're at that point. When did you come back to the faith, and how did that happen?
I was in my third term when I was looking at a life sentence. I was sitting in San Bernardino County Jail on my third felony offense, and the first one was a burglary and a firearm. The stolen firearm didn't carry as much as the popping a little window and stealing some potato chips and a soda when I was drunk. And there was a gun, 38, and I picked a gun. Well, they did a plea bargain and gave me the burglary instead of the gun, or I would have had a 3-strike in 1995. So I started studying the Bible then with a brother named Rude Ritchie, which is a Vago. We ended up cellies and got very tight from that point. And that's where I started into the Word.
So during your third term in jail is when you came back to Christ.
That's when I picked the Bible back up. That's correct.
And what led you back other than this one gentleman? I mean, what was the feeling? Why did you return back to the Lord? What was your thinking at that time?
Well, actually, it was built on fear. I just was looking at a life sentence. I was in a lifer's tank when they were doing 3 strikes in California. The fear of being separated eternally hit me in such a way that I looked to Him and thought by doing so that my life would change, not just change, but the new birth. And literally to say is I still continued, smoking and different habits that, according to His Word, I was still in my own strength.
And so you get released from jail the third time, and you move your family to Colorado. And at that point, where are you at in your faith when you get out? I mean, is the first thing you do look for a church? I mean, what took place after that?
Absolutely. When I got out, my ex-wife was in jail, and my 5 and 7-year-old, my son and daughter, I got full custody of them. And I was in Whittier, California, and I went to Light and Life Church. I believe it's in North Long Beach. And within maybe 2 sermons, they were looking for a first grade teacher, and I had my son and daughter with me. And I raised my hand and I started at that point working with children. I was a first grade teacher, and then within a year later, we came here, and that's where I started with New Life Church.
And the church at the time, did they care about your criminal background at that point? I mean, was there an element of recovery, transformation that they went through with you to kind of certify you to be able to teach first grade, or were they concerned about your past at all?
No, they actually knew, because my brother and sister-in-law and their family went there, so they were very aware of my criminal history, not complete, but they did a very simple background. And then when I came here, they did a little bit more intense one with New Life Church. Took a few months, but I had nothing concerning children or anything like that.
All right, so Seth, so at this point you move out to Colorado Springs. You are still consuming alcohol and prescription narcotics.
A conspiracy theorist? Anybody else in here like the truth?
And you leave New Life Church because of some issues with the children's ministry that you disagree with. And you go to St. James Church, at which point you become a ordained minister.
No, in 2010, he was in the barn, Ted Haggard, and I was connected with my doctor, Kent Roberson. As I said, I thought he was a friend through these years, and was real close with his family. His children were part of the Fort Victory, and some younger, some a little older. So I'm real familiar, became real close with his his children.
After receiving a briefcase from Ted Haggard, which inside lay an explicit video, drugs, and sex toys, Seth's health took a dramatic turn, eventually leading to the loss of vision in both eyes.
Yeah, I just want to share a little more about the 2012 era of, after receiving the briefcase and my life taking a dive from literally that day forward, believing I made the right choice. Actually, my heart was right, but a wrong choice. So shortly thereafter, by the July of 2013, I went into a phase with the alcohol and the pills. And by 14, with all the surgeries that I went through and a multitude of medications, led me into January of 2015, where my left eye had went completely blind, and I was being intravenously fed with picks and ports. At that point, ports in my chest. They had to move the left one to the right side in order to do procedures on my left side. And 15, it became real quick. Between that first 3 months, my eye doctor, Dr. Ramin, seeing that I was not doing well at all and was going down quickly. So he sent me in to get blood work, and blood work that I had never got before with the doctors and provisions over my life up to that point. And they found that I had sepsis in my right shoulder, rotor cup surgery with the titanium, yeast in my eyes, and staph infection through my entire body that had been there for quite some time. Infectious disease stepped in here local and got me in the hospital immediately in March and started pumping antibiotics in me. They removed my right rotor cup, the titanium, to get rid of the sepsis. And they went into my eyes and removed my lenses and put oil in both eyes for the yeast infection. And then the staph infection, they continued running antibiotics because it was through my body. So they saved my life, but lost my eyes.
In Genesis, after Joseph had buried his father Jacob, he addresses his brothers, whom had sold him into slavery, stating in Genesis 50:20, "But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people alive." A powerful testimony that regardless of crimes and sins perpetrated against us by others in the flesh, Yahweh can use it for good.
And so after coming out of this ordeal, then you start the World Bible Outreach Ministry.
That would actually, the Bible Outreach Ministry, what we call, it's not a business. It's just a couple of folks making a difference. actually began after I came out of the nursing home in 2016, December 2nd. I came back here in March 3rd of 2017, and my mother and I started getting Bibles out in the local area in Kyle, Texas, and I came back here and we started the ministry.
And since then, you have reached over 60,000 Bibles in 40 different languages across the entire United States and across the globe.
Yeah, we've it's been really amazing to watch the Lord work in this right here. We're reaching across the entire United States, all 50 states. We have Bibles in from children's hospitals, juvenile detentions here locally and across the country into Youth for Christ, juvenile detentions, jails, prisons, ICE facilities, seaports, federal penitentiaries, and that list just continues to go on.
And man, what a full circle for your mother to be able to help you with this ministry after bailing you out of prison, after having to find an attorney for you, after seeing her son go through all of these rough patches, to at the end of her days watching her son come back to the Lord and then run this super powerful ministry. What a blessing for her on top of that.
I'd like to add to that right there. I now have my mother. She's 89. She'll be 90 this year. She takes no medication. She goes everywhere with Bob and I, up the hills and down by the river to pray and in the nursing homes. And yeah, she's been definitely an inspiration in my life to have her next door to me and be a part of this right here. She's a huge part of this, of her input in it and her finances that she's made this happen. Yeah, it's just, it's wonderful to have my mama next to me, right next door.
James 5:16 instructs us to confess your trespasses to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. Seth very powerfully said, I must bring my own sin and past out into the light before I ask others to do the same. Seth's testimony is a remarkable example of how even those with a reckless past are not exempt from the Lord's grace.
So with that being said, I'm asking for forgiveness of my shortcoming in this. I just pray for all those young guys and girls in this situation here, the young guys that were caught up in this right here. Some of the very children that I taught Fort Victory are some of the very children that were preyed upon by not only Ted Haggard, but some of the other within the administration. And they know who they are, and we're going to call them out here soon. And that they loose back into society with churches here locally, but also across the country.